Well, hello everybody. This is a Double G's podcast, aka hashtag OG French OG3 on X. I'm here with Raphael, who's happy to discuss about his situation, understand why things are the way they are based upon that specific setup he's in. He agreed to join on this call, shall we say, to discuss about him. And the idea is to make the people inside the community be more insight as to what's going on. So I would like to first thank Raphael for joining in and being very coy about the whole process. And as well, hopefully that will help you understanding why things happen the way they happen. And I'm really glad to have you, Raphael. Can you present yourself?
Yeah, for sure. Hey guys, what's up? I think I'll just call you. Thanks, French OG, for having me on. French is cool. Okay, yeah, awesome. Thanks, French, for having me on. I really like this Twitter content, and you put out a tweet yesterday saying if you have any questions, just DM me. So I reached out, and yeah, basically really excited for what we're going to talk about. For context, I'm 17 years old. I stay in South Africa, and I run an online business, which, is its own thing in entirety, but I'm basically just here to chop it up with French, and we'll see how it goes.
17 years old already. Oh my God, I feel like I feel like an oldie, man. It's like,
Yeah, I get
yeah,
that a
no.
lot, bro.
You know something? I mean, like when you're mixed race or even like you're light black, right? It's like
I'm mixed
people have
race.
a mixed race as well. Let me
Yeah.
guess. Dad's black, mother's white.
No. Both my parents are mixed race also, but their grandparents were mom, yeah, black dad, white mom, that type of thing.
All like 80% of my mixed race friend, the dad's black, the mom's white. But for me, it was my mom, my dad was white, my mom black, for real. So I don't know if it's the same thing with the people you've met.
Not really, bro, to be honest. Yeah,
Really?
it's mainly the opposite, black dad, white mom, that type of thing.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. 80% black dad, white mom.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah,
I
yeah.
know. So, and by the way, just so that the audience know, I barely know about any stuff that you discussed about that you're going to discuss about. So it's very much going to be on the fly to try to understand. So it's going to be very consultative call in the sense of trying to understand where he's coming from and making the analysis on the fly. So it's not like I came up with a preconceived framework
And
as
that's all
to how.
scripted.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
scripted with me. It's always on the fly, and all my interviews are always on the fly. So that's. But anyway, so tell us a little bit more about you, Raphael, and the situation.
Yeah, bro. So, like I said, I'm 17. I'm still really young. So it's not really, I wouldn't say like girls are the main focus mainly. The only thing is, obviously, I'm very into business. It's the main thing I'm focusing on. So I do want to make sure that that other area of my life is taken care of. And, I'm still very young. There's still like very more to come. And I don't think right now I've had one serious girlfriend before, but that only lasted like 3 months. So I'm not up for that whole like relationship thing right now. The main thing I would say is just, having fun, going out, pulling girls whenever I want to, and then, doing that whole type of thing. But yeah, really, like one of the problems with something I've noticed is like I will have nights where I'll go out and then everything will be like just fucking natural, like on the fly, like how this type of call is. And then, I'll pull, I'll do whatever the fuck I want to, and I won't even need to worry about like, am I using the right line? Do I open the door with this? It just happens, bro, right? But on the flip side, I will have nights where absolutely fucking nothing like goes right, which I don't know. It might just be cope on my end where, I just, for whatever reason on said day, I do not want to go and talk to women, even though that's like the whole objective of me going out. But, yeah, I don't know. I was just interested I don't know, maybe it's just cope on my side, but I'd like to hear
I
your thoughts on
mean,
that.
so you meet them mostly by night, right? In the evening.
Yeah, mostly by evening clubs. That's the main setup. Clubs. I have tried like Instagram, and Instagram works sometimes, right? But I've seen like, at least in my experience, because the trust factor isn't really there with like most girls on Instagram, it's kind of hard to meet up with them on a separate date. So what I've done instead is I will just look at like, the places that they're going to, and then just go there with my boys and then, magically bump into them and then just take it from there. So, magically. Yeah.
You got to find where's the talent's at, right? Same
Exactly.
thing that when you have to prospect for business. Well, I happen to be there, you know?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Mainly nighttime clubs. And then other than that, just like social circle here and there. You're a bit old, so I don't know if you know what a two-man is, but that's basically where you and a friend, you meet up with two other girls, you go on a double date, you do that whole type of thing. I've had like pretty good success with that, but I haven't really done that too much for whatever reason.
I'm just a boomer, man, right? Like I've got twice your age. I feel like Big Brother here. No, okay. So, and then you're based in a place where you have a lot of events happening right now, quite popular, right?
Yeah. Yeah, quite popular.
So
There's always something happening on the weekend. There's always something.
okay, so we share something in common. Most of like if I look at most of my history, it's mostly been night. How do we call it? Night game back in the days, right? So in terms of the way, I'm really glad that you bring that up for one simple reason. It's like people think they need to have those lines, they need to have those structure, they need to have everything in order for it to happen, but you don't, right? You don't need to think about the right line. It's all about the right energy, right? Okay. The question I have again, like you said that some nights everything happens, some nights literally nothing can happen. It's just not, it's just not going to happen whatsoever. And do you find that your energy is different?
Yeah, 100%. I feel like, actually, now that I think about it, the nights where nothing happens, I'm probably a lot more in my head than compared to the other ones where, it's just flowing. I'm not really thinking too much. So I definitely would say, yeah, my energy's different.
Yeah, well, that's called being present, right? Whereas, say, for example, like, sometimes I talk to guys and they'd be like, well, what do I need to say? What do I need to do? And they think it's so much in structure that it gets them in their head. And it's like, even when you deliver the stuff, it's coming from the wrong energy. I can give you the perfect lines, but if you do not have the right energy, it'll just fall flat, right? Whereas when you're literally free flowing, that's why people fucking drink. That's why people go even do drugs and shit. It's to basically get them in the flow because they are too, I would say neurotic, but they're just like, they care too much what other people think. I have another guy that I know, he's very good at doing approach in real life, but what happens is that sometimes night game is very much controlled environment where you have people that are looking into you that are quite relatively static. So technically what you do can be perceived by others without the free flowingness of walking down the street and talk to people. And that can hold them back, right? But being able to be in that controlled environment can be something that make guys feel a certain type of social burden. Going back onto what you're saying, the reason why it works, I was saying, was being present, right? There's also something that you must never underestimate, which is the randomness factor. You said something about sometimes nothing will go right. And I can tell you from experience, I try to rework the law of averages, meaning by that, really putting in the effort and everything. And I just realized that it's like a poker session. Sometimes you can do all the right stuff. And even the 90% favorite that you have, on when you go all in, it's not going to happen. Right. And that's fine. And that's for you to be acceptable because it's not like when it comes to human, it's very much social science in the sense that you don't have the right formula that's going to happen each and every time. There's a variability. I mean, there's a lot of factors that comes in. And sometimes you feel like you touch gold on everything. And sometimes literally it's rubbish. Do you have any type of, like, any particular example that you have that you just think, like maybe I should have done things differently, or maybe something like that you just saw, I really fumbled the bag?
Really fumbled? Let me think. Typically, though, to be honest, I don't really like to think to operate from that mindset because I've been like in this community a lot. I've learned about frame. So I typically like frame everything as usually, no, I didn't fumble. It's just another lesson that I learned. So it's kind of hard to think of an example on the fly. Let me think. No, not really, bro. To be honest, I think when I actually try, and it's like those nights where I'm doing everything on the fly. I'm not really in my head. I'm more present. Those situations like rarely pop up, and even if they do, I just move on to like the next girl. I don't really get too caught up on, what X1 said or what I could have done better. It's just like a volume game at that point. Whereas compared to when the things go wrong, I would be like so much in my head that I don't even do anything at all. So it's literally just
Yeah, well,
like
if you're not going to do anything, if you're not going to do anything, that's fine. No, but it's like, for example, I'm thinking of times where she gives you a clear signal that it's a go ahead and you completely miss the mark. if you see what I'm saying. It's not necessarily that
Yeah,
you
yeah.
like it's an obvious fuck up, right? It's kind of like that's so really what you're trying to understand is how come some nights you're
Hmm.
doing great and how come some nights you're not doing so great.
Exactly, bro. Yeah, because like in an ideal world, I want to be going out whenever I go out, just like pull every single night. That's like what I want to shoot for, right? But right now, clearly, that's not the case. So I'm basically just
Well, the
I'm
thing
trying to
is
figure
already
that out.
what I can tell already just from this conversation, right, is like your voice is very grounded. Like I can tell like you basically bring the woman close to you because it's kind of like you're not phased that much about things in the sense that if you're like that, at the bar or at the club or I mean to be honest, for me I've been mostly bars rather than clubs. I can see how you don't easily get excited. Would that be fair to say?
100% would be fair to say.
That's it. See also the voice, very deep voice, meaning by that, very commanding. That is a massive pulling factor, right? But you have to understand, obviously, as you were scouting the place, right? It magically happened. Sometimes, like you have seasons where it's off. And sometimes I'll give you a story, right? And this when something can really will fuck up outside of and beyond your experience. So I remember I used to have this girl that was well, technically just I wouldn't say a friend with benefit because we barely saw each other. She was just calling me just there like that on the fly. Anyway, didn't see her for 4 or 5 months, whatever. And she calls me, hey, can I come to yours? I say, hey, cool, whatever. She came back from holidays and then, I was a bit of a dick and I said, hey, look, I mean, I see you've indulged yourself, right? Anyway, she was like, oh, you're just saying I'm fat? And I was like, well, yeah, there's a cinnamon roll around here. Anyway, and she didn't take it very nice, and she basically took the cab back to her place. I was like, all right, cool, I can go back to sleep early, and I don't have to do shit. Okay, so it was the same week. I go to a bar. I see this girl, and I'm like, really like nice looking, really slaggy, etc., etc., etc. Oh my god, this is amazing. Go start to talk to her and everything. I know the people at security. They basically set things up right for me and everything. I can get to her to a place that is quiet and everything. Start gaming her, goes everything very well. And she's like, oh my God, I'm with my friends. I definitely need to introduce you to them. So I'm thinking, great, I'm going to see her friends, kind of like lay the groundwork for me to be able to put her back later on so that I don't forget the friends cock block shit. Okay. She brings me back to her friend. The friend that she brought me back to was a girl that I basically told that she was fat and that left my place. And within 1 week in fucking London, what are the fucking odds, right? I'm just thinking, oh, for fuck's sake, you got to be kidding me, right? I was like, it just, I've got to go, right? I'm just like, yeah, fuck this shit. You think it's finished? It's not finished. You think, oh, I was like, yeah, whatever, right? And then I meet this French guy, even though I'm in London, and he's like, I can tell he's in the game shit. And I was like, all right, look, I'll just basically do the same shit. We see these two girls, right? I see he's there. I'm not really fond of the second girl, but I'll just go there just to kind of like, I'll take one for the team. We just met this guy. He might be someone that I'd like to go on a night out with. Go start talking to the girl and everything. Then what happens? The girl that I was gaming just earlier come and basically stops me from talking to that girl and said, like poking me on my back, right? And I didn't even notice. And I was like, well, is that true that you told me my friend was fat in front of the other girl? And I'm like, and then the other girl say, did you tell her friend she was fat? I was like, for fuck's sake. And I was like, and then I went to another thing and it fuck up. So you see, those situation happens, no matter how unlikely that is, and that's being fine, right? The main thing to know is do not let the short-term failure impact your mindset.
Your mindset.
Because what basically makes things worse is where they call the recency bias. Meaning by that, you will think, I must have done something wrong because I didn't get the right result the last time. Completely forgetting the fact that you were actually doing everything right before. And it's about also understanding that, how you said, it's just happened. Girls will just say the same thing, it's just happened when you give them enough rope for them to provide themselves a narrative with. when you bring her back to their place, it's like, oh, I shouldn't be doing this, etc. It's like, it's fine. Look, I'll just call you an Uber back. Just chill. That's the same thing. And it's always about remembering yourself. People put themselves in position for things to happen without necessarily taking the accountability for it to happen, especially women.
Especially women. Yeah.
Especially women. So the main thing that you have to do is just put yourself in the right situation. Being the guy that basically fucks for free most of the time is just being at the right place, the right time. Honestly, it is. And just having the right energy and providing the right logistics and the necessary plausible deniability for you to get along with it. And you know what? How about you tell and you speak about how you normally operate yourself when you score?
How I normally operate? Yeah, bro. So typically what I do is, whatchamacallit, usually at the club, go to the dance floor. I cannot dance for shit, so I'll just like dance a little bit. And then if I see a girl I like, I'll talk to her, and then I'll basically be like, hey, it's too loud. Let's go somewhere where it's more quiet. And then pretty much from there, if she agrees to that, then it's fair game. I can just take it from there. There isn't really much that's more needed. If she doesn't, then that probably means that, hey, I haven't built up enough trust and I haven't built up enough, what's the word, like rapport. So then I just acknowledge it, whatever, and move on, continue the conversation, keep it going. And then basically from there, ask again to go take a walk, but I won't ask it directly. I'll kind of like weave it in, if that makes sense. So then I'll be like, oh, do you want to get a drink or something? Like if I took her away from her friends and she's like, where's my friends? I'm like, oh no, I think I saw them going towards the exit. Let's go check. And then I basically take it from there. And then, it's pretty much fair game. Other than that, bro, I mean, that's usually how I operate. Another way would be too, is like, usually when I go out, we do ball out. So we'll usually have like a table or something in South Africa too. So it's cheap. So I'll be like, no, we got a table with drinks. You can come back there, blah, blah, blah. It's going to be so much more fun than just dancing here with everyone else. That's another way too. And I found like that does work pretty well. And then the last way that I found is pretty well is just going to talk like you did with that other French guy to two different girls. So one of my friends will take the one girl. I'll take care of the other one so she doesn't cock block, and then just pretty much take it from there.
Do you go by groups of two?
Groups of two usually, depending on the night. We don't usually do more than 4 though.
Yeah. I mean, generally 2 to 3, right? Like 2 is a perfect thing.
Yeah.
Is girls go by 2, they just need another one that was going to slut away. So it's kind of like you just get the idea. If it's 4, it's fucking hand party, and you're like, oh fuck this shit. I'm gonna have to deal with some like bullshit. So yeah, roping them in when you have like a table. Yeah, obviously you're playing the status side of things and whistling your way in. But what you said is very interesting when it comes to night game, which is, first of all, when you basically ask her to talk to a quieter side, what is it? It's a compliance test when you think about it. You establish whether or not there's enough either desire, rapport / vibe, and you know how to take it from there, right? When you bring a girl back to yours, like, do you use any type of plausible deniability excuse? What do you do normally?
Usually, I'll just say like, hey, we're having an after party at mine, whatever, etc. You can just come there. It's gonna be so much fun, blah blah blah, something like that. Or I don't know, bro. It would actually, usually with that, I don't really have a go-to line. It's just something that's kind of specific to the situation. Like one time I was out with my boy and he was with another girl actually, but she did not want to go back with him. So I just basically pulled him aside and then I told him like, hey, just tell her this party here, it's getting really dead. Her birthday's coming up. She shouldn't have to, she should do something more fun. And then he basically did that and it worked. And then like you said, I forgot exactly what it was, but like women especially will put themselves in the situation without taking accountability. What I told him to do as well was that they just go back. So actually this was really funny. They weren't going back to his house, they were going back to hers, which made it even more funny. So what I told him was like, yeah, tell her it's gonna be much better at hers. This party sucks. We'll come join you guys later. We're just charging our phone or whatever bullshit. And then tell her if it's bad there, we'll just come back and go to another fucking place. And it worked like gold. She kicked him out at 3 a.m. though, so we had to come pick him up though. But that was quite funny.
See? Hey man, hey, that's how you fucking close business, man. I remember when I was younger, right? It's like I didn't necessarily have the right place, the right place. When it was not my dad's car, that was kind of like just the makeshift place, right? It was, I needed to go to the girls' place. And what I needed to do was, I used the toilet example. So, we went parties. Hey, look, why don't we share the Uber, right? Why don't we share the Uber? And it's like, do you mind if I just take care? Do you mind if I just use the toilet, right? It used to work until it worked less because too many people would start doing that shit. And then it was about charging the phone, right? Like, charging the phone is a good one. But see, it's crazy. You're 17 and you already know a few tricks. How come? Did you learn it somewhere, or just kind of like just social intelligence?
Honestly, just practice, bro. I've only ever bought like one course on game when I was like 15 years old. And that's because also something I didn't mention about my situation was I don't go to like a normal high school. I do online school just so I can, because my business has grown so much that deserves more of my attention. But the reason I first went to online school was slides about to fall. During COVID, it was just the better option. And then I stuck with that. But then like through staying at home, not going out, not talking to girls, I basically just became like a fucking loser, right? So I needed to make a change. But then it came to the point where I was like 15, my friends were 15, but because they had like that social experience with high school, being around women, proximity, etc., they had the social circle, they knew how to talk to girls, etc., etc. I didn't know how to do shit because I was just on my computer every single day. And I wasn't like the traditional nerd of sorts, etc., etc. What I just did not have that high school experience. So I started searching online. I watched all of the videos. To be honest, a lot of like the fucking stuff was just like tips and tricks, nothing really too practical. But then I got kind of that one course on masculinity rediscovered. It's still quite good. I read it here and there. And then I took what I learned there, just fucking went onto the field, saw what worked, started small, made it my goal to just get like a number or Instagram because that was easy. And then I slowly kept building it up. I figured out what worked, what stuck. And then also something I did actually, which works really well. I still kind of do it to that day. Whenever I'm in like, I won't say a new city, like kind of like a new spot in the city, like a new town or whatever, I will first find the guy who I see like has the most girls, has the most access. I will literally just befriend him, and then I'll kind of just see how he acts around them, what works, what doesn't. And then I'll also just like get him to introduce me to girls too as well. And then, you also, with that part, there's like nuance too. You can't just be a leech, right? But you can bring some sort of value to the table.
Value.
Maybe that be, yeah, exactly. Transport. Maybe that can be getting like drinks, like transport, like logistics, going back to another place, drinks, whatever that may be. And that's something that I've done like always whenever I travel. I'll always sort of seek out like that person who's, this is a dumb word, but like alpha in the room. And then basically see how I can befriend them and then just take it from there. But most of the stuff, it's like really from experience. I also used to do quite a bit of the cold approaching, like at the gym, whenever I was out. I used to do that a lot, but like over time, I just found like social circle, so getting introduced to other people, and then just like doing that at like night venues, nightclubs worked so much better, and it was like so much less work. So that's just what I've been rolling with for now.
I mean, and you're in a town where basically people are going there to party, and when the people go there to parties, this is like, it's like we always jokes about girls' night out, right, or girls' trip, right? The reason
That's
is
what
go ahead.
that's the only thing they're going out for, bro. Fuck. That's what the guys go for. That's what the girls go for. They do not give a shit about the music or whatever bullshit it is. They're there for one reason.
Yeah, it's like, you see, there are so many lessons in what you're doing, because technically, like, it's almost like you already know the, thing is kind of, but there are so many lessons in what you just said, right? The best way and the quickest way for you to get better at game is about associating yourself with the right person. Meaning by that, you'll drink on not only in his energy, his persona, etc., but you'll pick up, even sometimes unconsciously, what he does right that you need to replicate. That's the first thing. Second thing, showing value to the quote unquote alpha. And like you, I fucking hate that word because it's completely overdone. It's a container word. It doesn't really mean anything. And providing value, right? Transport, drinks. Even be like, even you could find yourself a group of girls that you could bring, and make yourself somewhat indispensable, right? So that's another thing. Third thing, trials and error. Like, you have a business right now, right? And you have a business at 17 years old, and you're focusing on that business, and you're not a bloody running rabbit like I used to be at your age. I mean, seriously, like, no props to you on that front. I was never like that. I mean, so that's the first bit. And what you did, you tried and error, you did the trial and error, right? Then you looked at, I'm sure maybe you have a mentor, you have someone you look up to in the business world.
Yeah, 100%.
There you go. You follow the footsteps, even though you kind of like inspire yourself from the content online. What you did after is I need to put that into practice, because there's no point ranking yourself over content if you're not putting in the work.
Yeah, 100%, bro. 100%. I just think because what I've learned recently is like all the content online is great, but it's not really anything you don't already know, right? Everything is within, and you just need to operate from that sort of mindset. Sure, there is tips and tricks, but like we were talking about earlier, it's just your energy. And I think, because when I was, I'm going to say younger, but I am still very fucking young. When I was like a few years ago, when I was first getting into this, I was not in my head at all. I would just fucking see a girl, boom, go approach, blah, 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 all of that. But I guess because, business is business and dating, it's very, very similar. But because I've just been focusing more on the business, I found that I'm still a lot more in my head whenever I'll go out. Like, this is just the nature. This is just how it is. My mind is on the business, what all of that. I think I don't really need to, I just need to operate more from within and get out of my head. I think I don't want to say that's what's missing, but that's what I haven't been doing. Because if like now on this call, we're looking back at it, we're looking at the timeline. It's like all these fucking things, I already know it. It's just like, why the fuck haven't I been doing it as of late? That's what I've been seeing.
I'll tell you something. Is because your priorities. When I was a 9-to-5er, I was living for the weekend. I'd be like, all right, which is the place I'm going to go? What is it I'm going to do? Where I'm going to find them girls? So it kind of like, because I was very much on the, on not caring about how I'm going to grow my career, I'm going to grow a business, my mind was free. But then what's happening is when you start building a brand, building a business, it is, especially if you're passionate about it, it is that thing that just takes over your mind. And it's like, it is very hard. And I remember RSD Tyler Durden. I don't know if you know a bit of RSD, Real Social Dynamics. It's back,
I've
they
heard
were
about
very
it.
yeah. And when he was building the business, and he was going back onto the field because he took a break for like months, he was rusty. He almost felt like he became a beginner. And the reason is because he was too stuck in his own head from the business, and how, because once you're passionate about something, you think about each and every day. I remember I was in a relationship for a long period of time, and in that relationship, I was playing poker a lot, and I was sleeping, eating, dreaming, walking poker. I was looking at all those different type of setups, etc., etc. I was not in the headspace. I mean, outside of being in a relationship, I was not in the headspace of going out and partying, because I've got so many things in my head. And sometimes you just need one, like, think about it this way, right? So that's to explain a bit why there's been the shift, right? Even now, I'm not going out as much because I've got more important stuff to deal with, more important stuff to do, building stuff, right? All you need is a good experience to kickstart again. Like, there's even this term for a girl, right? Like, it's like a slump buster. The slump buster is a girl that you're going onto a dry spell, and you just basically decide to, okay, you know what? I just need to have one under the shoulder. And then, just kickstart the momentum, right? And then it's all about momentum. When it comes to dating, for example, when you start talking to a girl, blah, 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 and you start making things happen, you want, from app to meet up, you want things to be very fast, because you want to feel like you're on a journey, you're on a path. Same thing on the date. You take her from one place to the next, etc., and you really create that narrative. Same thing on the night out. So you just, you go from one place to the next. You create dynamic where you and her is two, not forgetting about the friend, because you just don't want to have the friend cock block you when it comes to closing the deal. But all of this is momentum based, right? So it's just about forgetting about all that stuff. And at the end of the day, think about it this way. If you have approach anxiety, why is that? It's because you care too much upon what someone else think of you and want someone specific of you. And therefore, you don't have any frame, because the opinion of others should not impact the opinion that you have of yourself, irrespective of the feedback you get from that person. Why do I not care when I go out? Is they don't know anything about me. all they get to see is the surface level. There's a subsurface level of the iceberg. They don't see any of. So if they tell me to fuck off, I'm just like, all right, you don't know. I don't say that to them, but for me, I'm like, they don't know what they miss, because I know I'm fun. I know I can be the life of the party. I know I can do all of that stuff. Sometimes they either don't have the bandwidth to. Sometimes I didn't sell myself right. But a bit like a relationship where you broke off, it's better to go, as you said, into a new prospect than trying to revive a dead horse, because it's dead for a
100%.
reason.
It is dead for a reason. Yeah, no, that's actually something I saw recently. There was a girl I was on and off with for about 8 months, and that was not fucking fun. It should have ended the first time it ended, bro. No, fuck. That was
Situationship?
not fun. Situationship.
Do you want to keep it private, or do you want to share a bit?
I can give a few more details. So we met online. We kept talking. Broke it off for like a month. No. So we spoke for a month. This was May 2024. Broke it off then, and then she actually, which was the red flag. She came back like 3 months later. So this was May, June, July, August, September, 3-4 months later. Which, you know what that means. It means she couldn't replace you, so she wants to come back, which should have been a fucking hard no, but I was a bit naive. I said, no, you know what, let's give it another go. And then she did something I didn't like. She went out with there was a specific event where I knew exactly what was going to go on there. It was just bad. She shouldn't have went without me. She still went. We broke it off for like a month, and then just started speaking like after the month again, and then just continued. So this was, by this point,
and she came back
October.
She came back after.
Yeah. She came back again. Still kept talking like on and off throughout, but a bit more consistent. There wasn't really big break-off periods until about January. So we get to January of 2025, and I went out with my boys without her, and then I pulled another girl, and then she found out, and then it was this whole fucking thing of, you know how it is, I'll never be able to trust you again, blah, blah, blah. But then
I heard that before.
After that, she came back again, and then I went on a trip. She didn't do anything. I knew the people she went to another event, so like same thing as last time that I did not want her to go to. She didn't do anything, but I just didn't like that. I knew the people. Some of my friends were there too as well. They saw her, and then I just pretty much cut it off from there. I cut the snake off at his head quite late, but yeah, man.
It can sting. And the thing is, you touched on a very important point here, which is, you may think it's about you when she comes back, especially if you have feelings for that girl. Like, you may like that girl. You're like, wow, yeah, it fuck up the second time, but you just think, you have that what if scenario in your head. You're like, shit, like, I want to, if things could have gone right. And then you're like, she comes back and you just think, she's seeing me for me. Nah, she couldn't secure, as you rightly said, a better option. And the fact that you're willing to take her back, and that's what a lot of guys miss about their ex, because their feelings make them blind, right? They take her back, thinking that they can make it work again. But already the fact that you're taking her back, per se, is anchoring your lower social value that she left originally for you for. So you're fucked up from the beginning. You take her back, you anchor yourself of lower value, then creates this belief in her that she can do better. And she'll never really like you like that. There'll be a resentment within her already. And if you don't, then you miss out with her. There's a reason why things break up. And generally it's a misalignment of value. And also what you did very good, which is like, how, like, from a scale of 1 to 10, how strong did you feel about that girl?
Back then, probably a 10.
But yeah. And you see, what you show is very important. It's fucking backbone. Why? Because it's like, imagine if you like a girl like a 10, but she's not on your program. She's going to those venues that she shouldn't go to. Irrespective of whether she fucked some guy or not. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't matter. It's the fact that the principle, she didn't follow what you suggested was the right thing for her. You have to be able to cut it off, because at the end of the day, it starts with this, then your hand, then your arm, and then you're fucked.
Then you're fucked, yeah. Also, you said she'd have what was it, that resentment for you. I also noticed that there was like the respect. When you let them come back, you let it go. There's like no respect, because it's kind of like, this is also like something I've seen with my friends. They look at what she says, not what she does. If she's coming back, then you have no self-respect, and she's going to see that, because even though she says she wants you back, a part of her is going to ask, why the fuck is this guy still taking me back? And that's something that, I read it online, I thought about it, but it wasn't until I actually like experienced it, and then I saw that too. But then also, what other guys don't see too as well, and what I had in my experience was that you will resent her too as well, which is what led me to do what I did in January, because there will always be, you just won't be able to trust them ever again, regardless for whatever situation it was. And that thought, no matter how much you try to block it out, it's always going to be there at the back of your head. It's either going to just make you fucking anxious in the relationship. It's going to make you desperate. It's going to make you needy. She's going to pick off on that. She's going to be fucking appalled by all of that. Or it's going to reflect in your actions. And, you might get with another girl, be like, oh no, I'm getting you back, blah, blah, blah. And, maybe it's a girl who she didn't even do anything bad, right? It was just a case of you two weren't a good fit. You're going to go ahead and you're going to hurt her. And then that's just going to be even worse than you guys breaking off mutually or whatever the fuck that was. So that's something I learned. That's something I observed.
I am flabbergasted to have this level of, just knowledge, even social intelligence at 17. I was fucking too much full of cum to even have have an idea of of it all. Like, seriously, man, I was like, the less I think, the better, right? But no, but you hit the nail on the head on everything here. Is there like that resentment, right? You won't be able to trust her. Like, there's a truth when she says, I can't trust you, right? You won't be able to trust her. Therefore, all of the stuff that you'll be doing is damage limitation. Meaning by that, you're gonna be overly controlling. But even though you have the legitimate reason why to, the question is, why are you allowing this back in your life? Going back to the self-respect. If you allow someone to fuck up and you take her back, what it shows is you ain't got no backbone. And even though she may
you don't have
watch
options.
yeah, better options. Because you can have options, but if she's the best of your options, she never wants to know that she's the best of your options. Because
100%.
that's the thing. Like, look, I was in the same situation as you. So, and as you said, there's nothing like lived experience. You can read it, but it never feels the same until you live it.
That's a bar, brother. 100%. It's never the same until you live it. It really, really isn't. Yeah, and that's also something, because it dragged over for so long. 8 months 8 months of back and forth. One girl is a long time. So now I've sort of learned, whenever there's bullshit, to just fucking cut it off at the head straight up, because I could be missing out on, so much more trying to go over with this one girl who I think is the one can be easily replaced. That's also something.
You said 8 months, try 2 years. But also another very key lesson that is really good. The way women break off relationship is they build that resentment. Meaning by that, when they build that resentment, it creates the ability for them not to look back once they break up with someone. So when when guys get broken up in a relationship, they don't see it coming. The woman is very passive. The woman basically don't say that much, but she's collecting the points, collecting the Xbox points, the Xbox credits for you heard not to come back with you. I don't like this vibe, I don't like this vibe. She won't say anything. She'll be maybe a bit dismissive. You get that there's a bit something off in her energy. And then she basically hit the hammer when she knows it's over, right? And then the guy's like, oh, well, what's happening? Oh, I want her back, right? And he has not built that resentment. And then, therefore, he goes back and chasing and hoping she comes back. But what you can do, instead of looking at ways to control her because of your anxiety, because of the insecurity she created within you, is you use that negative energy to build that ability to never come back with her, or even to break it off for you as a guy. You don't mind going, you're not thinking about going back right now with her.
Mm-hmm. Not at all.
Because you already built that, I don't like what she did, I don't like this, I don't like that. And it's like, how fucking tired am I of being in that situation of emotional limbo? People tell you something, you have to listen to them. And giving a second chance is not having heard the person the first time very well.
100%. Yeah, I agree. What's your thoughts on actually? Because I have a personal friend of mine from my hometown. We used to do this whole game thing together, but then like really the first girl that gave him like just I don't want to say the little bit most of attention, but that's kind of what it's going to look like, and it kind of was. The first girl that did that for him, he's now in a relationship with her for, I think it's going to be 2 years now this year. He's like the same age as me. And it's his first girlfriend too as well. She's not, whatchamacallit, it's not her first boyfriend. She's been in past relationships. And this is like teenagers also, which is something you need to keep in mind. But like me, all of his other friends, his fucking parents, they all think he's wasting his life away. While he thinks, no, he's actually going to marry this girl. And look, I don't talk to him that much anymore. We've just sort of drifted off because his attention has moved towards her. If he is like genuinely happy, I am happy for him. But I obviously that is not something I would do because I just wouldn't tie myself down like that. And I think there's like still the best is yet to come. The best isn't behind me, right? But seeing him, I sort of thought, like, what would my life be any different if I probably just locked down one girl while I'm still, and I say this because I'm very young too, which it makes it funny, but I thought, would my life be different if I locked down one girl as like a girlfriend to like support me while I'm building? Or what would be the difference between, what he's sort of done? But I guess I don't know, I don't really know the personal details and I'm sort of rambling, but I wonder what's your thoughts on that, locking down one girl while you're still building versus, actually just going out and having fun.
All right. So, yeah. So I'm going to have a very nuanced view on this, right? The thing is, why are you having fun and why are you in that relationship, all right? If you look at a lot of people, leaders, you look at Bezos, you look at Gates, you even look at my fucking president, Macron, right? They go in early and you'll find that young leaders getting early in relationships so that they don't have a lot of their bandwidth that is to seek about fucking about bitches, having fun and everything is taking away themselves from the business. Looping back to what you said earlier, I'm not in my head when I'm going out right now. And it has been since you started the business, right? So you're not even performing that well because the business is taking too much of your headspace. So once you understand that, you're like, okay, well, it makes sense to have someone to build with, right? But you must not go with someone just to be with someone for the sake
Yes.
of it.
Yeah. And I think that's what he did too. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So you have to be with someone that basically is going to believe in your project, is going to believe in your story, that's going to believe in the path that you're going to create for yourself and that you're going to project onto her going forward. And this is where you actually get to see the ride or die. This is not when you're at my age and your average fucking, and the pool of pretendants in a bunch of leftovers who couldn't basically, keep someone. And there's a reason for that, right? I see it every day. So, like you don't want to be in that situation. And then also what happens is when you get older is people that expect you to have more money. Therefore, like the woman expects you to have more money. So the transactional side of the interaction is less genuine in the sense, or at least in the appearance is less genuine, though you already know that if you want to go with a girl that is younger, you're paying one way or another. So it's also about having that foresight to know, what do I want? So to answer your question is, yes, it's a good thing, but as long as she's on your wavelength, as long as she believes in the project, and as long as she's putting, especially if you want to, I don't know, do you want to have a girl that works or do you want to have a girl that is a stay-at-home mom if you want to have kids?
Well, stay at home. I need to make more money
Exactly.
for that. A lot more, but stay at home, definitely, for sure.
Exactly. And you'll find that the relationship that starts early are the one that lasts longer, right? The only risk that there is that the girl feels that maybe she felt like she's missing out. You have to look at who are her friends. If her friends are slags and hoes, man, I'm sorry, but your odds are
then you're
not going to be in your
cooked.
favor.
Yeah.
Then you're cooked. Going back onto your friend, by the way, just before I let you finish, going back onto your friends, ignorance is bliss. Sometimes it can work out, but if you put the girl first before you and she feels that, she'll fuck you over. And that must not be what happens. But if it's a codependent,
100%.
if it's codependent and they really feed off each other, unless it's, as long as it's keeping at bay, it can work out. But ideally, it won't be under the setup like, your setup.
Yeah, 100%. Like I said, I've had like one serious relationship before. It didn't last too long. It lasted 3 months, to be honest, just because I didn't do the background check. The background check came after the relationship, not before the relationship. So that's something I should have done. But that basically ended off because, her reason was I was not giving her enough attention because I was too focused or blah, 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 whatever the fuck that may be. But yeah, I know you put it in a really good point. I see what you mean, but I think I'm fine with this setup right now because at least this might be recency bias, but with my past experience, it might just be the girl, but it was way too much fucking effort. And yeah, and I don't say that like I was not putting in effort, but the things they wanted from me were it's just like fucking stupid. Like, they're mad because you didn't send them a good morning text, or they're mad because you didn't call them at the end of the day. Whereas with me, the actual effort I was putting is like, yeah, sure, I might not call you every fucking day, but we're going to go to a nice dinner on the weekend, or we're able to do that whenever the fuck we want to, because, I'm doing this or whatever,
because
blah,
you
blah,
make
blah.
money.
Exactly. And that's the thing too. And that's also what kind of motivated me to hop on this call, because I'm in my last year of high school now too, but I'm in a unique position where, like, practically, at least there are like other kids online. It's getting crazy nowadays, but at least in my hometown, I am the only kid at my age group who is doing this. And I just feel like, at least for like the next year or so, or like year and a half, I can max out my fun while still obviously, continue building, having fun, etc., etc. But I feel like I just haven't done that as much. I haven't taken advantage of that as much as I could have or should have, like, during this time that I've been building it. So that's also something.
Just want to say, and that's where I'm going to put the caveat to what I said earlier, and to emphasize even more the nuance. And thank you for sharing this as well. Is this girl is a perfect example of not want to waste your time with, because it's all about me, 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 me. And the likeliness of you having a girl that is going to be technically a ride or die, that believe in your project, that believe in you, that believe in what you're going to build for yourself, is going to be rarer. But if you find that, it is a diamond for you not to let go of, because you just want to you want to bang bitches. Do you see what I'm saying? Because those women are
100%.
scarce. Yeah, those women are scarce here, are more scarce, are more scarce than your run of the mill rent through. That's where this is. You know what? You're in a position where you have you can perform the perfect litmus test. Litmus test being a test of how would I call it? A
Are they
test of
worth it? Or
compatibility. Yeah, a test of
yeah,
compatibility. You have your way, because it's like you have to focus on your business first, right? And if she understands that your business is to your benefit, but hers as well, and she believes in the long run, not some fucking social media dopamine hit over the next fucking 24 hours, because most of them cannot see beyond the next day, if not week. No, but seriously, you have to look at it this way. And is it really their fault? I mean, they're conditioned in an environment where they're very young and they just want to have fun. Most of them are not going to pass that litmus test. And it's up to you. It's not up to you to basically try to convince a girl to get into your program. It's up to her to be convinced by the display of you, of whether or not she wants to be along for the road. Most of the time, it won't be enough unless you're already at the finish line. But if she's willing to basically be along for the ride earlier enough, definitely take that into consideration.
100%, brother. Thank you.
All right. If you have any other question, I know that we only have 1 hour, so I just wanna make sure I don't
We can.
eat into your time.
If you got, no, this is a good conversation. I think yeah, no, we're good. We're good on that front. We can keep it going another 20, 30 minutes. It's all good.
If you have any other type of question that you'd like to run with me, then totally fine.
Yeah, for sure. What's your thoughts actually on Instagram versus real life? Because this was something I thought about earlier when I first started getting into all of this. I found that, it was so much easier to do things on Instagram. And that's just because, there's really there's no what's the worst that could happen. It's just like fucking easy, right? Versus like, cold approaching, going out there, actually talking to girls. I found that Instagram was just easier. But then I saw to actually close on Instagram, it was actually much fucking harder to actually, go and meet up with them in real life, unless you just do like what I spoke about earlier. You magically appear at wherever they are. Whereas in real life, you guys have already met. So it's much fucking easier to just, like, the prerequisite is already set. So this is just my experience. It's much fucking easier to go and set another date or another time to meet up or whatever the hell that may be. So what do you think? Because with Instagram too, the thing is you can meet a lot more women compared to, just going out or wherever the fuck it may be. But I've also seen that the best relationships that have popped up in my life have been the ones that have been at random, the ones that randomly appeared. You know, it was a girl I randomly spoke to. If it was online, it was the one that I randomly texted, and then everything just happened, you know, on its own. Whereas compared to me actually doing this with intent, seeing, oh no, I see this girl, I want to slide there, blah, 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 like that whole entire thing, compared to the ones that, you know, sure, sometimes it might work out, but compared to the ones that just like happened sort of on its own after me taking it, like some random action, those are like much higher, much more enjoyable, really, and much more successful relationships I've seen. So I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on that.
So it goes back to dating, because you know, like when you're in the dating sphere, right, you hear like a lot of people say, "Oh, it's social circle game. No, it's online. No, it's day game. No, it's night game." Right? It all goes back to your personality and what rhymes the most with you, right? For me, I'm very much of a spontaneous, driven individual. Meaning by that, I love how things just unravel naturally. Like you know, like how you said, and I think that's why you and I are really much more in line with the night encounters, because everything flows naturally when it comes. And when you have the Instagram stuff, each and every of them have got their pros and cons. For example, I know a guy that is really into online dating that you can compare to Instagram to some extent, right? But Instagram to me is like the social credit score. If you want to be very good on it, you have to basically already show very high credit score or very high social value. So you have to portray yourself with a frontline value, very good quality picture, very good lifestyle picture, a high level of relatively high level for men following. So that technically you come in with a white flag to, you know, to the woman that be like, oh, you know what, he's worth my time. But if you're not having that, then you're gonna come at a deficit. Therefore, it's gonna take you much more work to do that. But if you manage to own the game, and I know guys that basically are even going to use paid ads in order for them to get into more eyesight. No, seriously. And look, you know, like within the introverted realm, because a lot of guys are introverted, they'll be looking at system and mechanism in order to increase the scalability of their scalability and their reach in order for them to basically get more eyesight onto them and then be attracting more women onto them, right? To me, it takes away the magic and the beauty of serendipity. And technically, what I love is not only I love that for myself, but I can leverage that whenever I meet someone. So, oh my God, I can't believe we just met. You know, it was so random. It just happened.
Must be
Once, you know,
fate.
like, yeah, you know, like whereas all of this is to me like a smoke screen. But that's my personal opinion. I know guys that are going to do very well on Instagram because they have the right infrastructure, they have the right marketing, and they have the right salesmanship whenever it comes to DM stuff. I find that. I mean, to me, I'd come from an era, right, where Instagram was not a thing when I was your age.
It didn't
It was Facebook. You know, a guy is old when basically he used to put the poke on Facebook to someone. You know, it's like, oh my God, it's a game, right? No, even Snapchat. I know guys are on Snapchat are just killing it, but I'm like, I'm not going to fucking learn Snapchat bullshit because that's just not me. Well, I'm a people's person, and you have to play to your strength. You're a people person, but I'm not going to share on IG or dating apps. I mean, I'm on dating apps just for fun now, not really to meet people, right? Going back in day games, there are some people that are better at day game than they're going to be at night game. And it all revolves around your personality. What are you more comfortable and what you seek out in your experiences? Because at the end of the day, it's about the best experience that you're going to give to the girl is the one in which you feel the most, where you have the most to offer.
100%. Yeah, yeah. I see what you mean. Because my thoughts was like, yeah, sure, Instagram might be easier, but I realized, and this is something that I just remembered. It's always good to have these conversations because you remember things that you forget. Yeah, sure. With Instagram, you can, you know, you come in with the white flag if you have good photos, if you followed by mutual friends of hers. But she gets like fucking how many DMs it is every single day from how many fucking guys. It doesn't matter what your profile looks like. Maybe it might spike her attention for a while, but there's always going to be another guy in the DMs and there's always going to be another one hitting her up. So my thoughts kind of were for that was like lean more towards the night game, as we might say, lean more to, you know, in real life, whether that's cold approach, whether that's being introduced by social circle, and then use Instagram as something that isn't really the main method, but kind of helps. I don't know how to word this, but kind of boosts it, right? Use Instagram as something on top of that. Nowadays, I used to go for number a lot. Now I just go for Instagram just because like most of the girls I meet, like we spoke about earlier, I'm followed by like, you know, the high value guys in whatever place it might be, some of their mutual friends, etc., etc. And then my thinking with that would be like, their thought process would be, oh, wow, this guy actually, unlike the rest of them, had the balls to come up and actually speak to me. And now I see him on Instagram. He already knows all these people. Oh, wow, I should keep it going. But then I also did not want to use like the whole Instagram, blah, blah, blah. Like you can just do it there as a cope to not go and speak in real life, because I've seen like with some of my friends who like are really good with Instagram or whatever, blah, blah, blah. They put in a lot of effort there. When it comes to real life, they cannot talk for shit. They can't like, come on the fly. They don't know what to say. They just hope for everything to magically happen. And, sometimes it does, but I think it would be just much better to, use Instagram, whatever, as a booster, but the main focus would be in real life. Cause that's like we said, that's where the genuine connection is, right? It's not artificial. And it just feels like there's always going to be another guy in their DMs, right? So you want to be
Yeah.
different when people. Mhm.
No, sorry, just
Yeah,
the
I was just gonna say when people zig you zag, because no one I've seen, like no one fucking, at least like around my friends, the people I know, no one like approaches IRL. There's always like maybe it's a girl they know or a girl that has mutual friends or they spoke to her on Instagram, blah blah blah. There isn't really that many people who, when they see a girl they actually like and they know nothing about her, that they actually go up and they go speak to her. And that's something that I'd probably just want to do myself, because when people zig, you want to zag, that type of thing, if that makes sense.
It's like as Warren Buffett said, it's like you want to be greedy when everybody's fearful, and you want to be fearful when everybody's greedy, right? The logic of contrarian investment. And also you make a bigger impact onto the thing that when people don't do it, people always think, well, if I don't want to appear like a creep, I don't want to feel like I'm going to be. Thing is, you're not going to please 90% of the women that you're going to talk to, but the one that when you're going to talk to and that you're going to please, you're going to have a much bigger impact. And it's important because that vibe, that energy flow, that thing that happen naturally hold a much deeper anchor into someone's mind and someone's spirit than some random DMs, because on DM, your magic line is not going to have as much of a relative impact as, let's say, the energy, the vibe that you bring in real life. And that's for people that, like us, are very much people's person, is easy to understand and to appreciate. But if you knew the amount of times I heard girls say, like, about guys that they thought, oh my God, they had great text game, etc., right? And then they come on a date and they be like, it's nothing like that. Why? Because generally what happens is that the guys can craft the perfect message, just trying to be funny and everything, and there's not that instantness of the back and forth in real life. They can fake that connection, but what happens is when you're in real life, you basically are completely out of whack because you're not talking to people, and that's where a lot of time I wouldn't say a core, but it's kind of like a comfort blanket, the digital stuff for
Oh,
introverted people.
100%. It is a comfort blanket. Yeah. And then they just use that as an excuse. Yeah, no, 100%. I agree.
But the funny thing I also notice is extroverted people that I know have trouble when it comes to text game, because the medium and the hub of the phone is holding back. It's holding them back because when you're a bit more higher energy, or when you are more of like someone that carries along a crowd, carries along the other person through a positive energy, then that's great, right? The people have the discernment to understand, is it neediness? Is it approval seeking? Or is it just because you got that charisma? You see what I'm saying? When you're on the phone, you cannot convey all of that non-verbal information. So it's very much verbal. So guys always think about verbal lines and everything. It's perfect. But like when you bring that energy, that over enthusiastic energy on text, it will often come across as someone that is too needy, someone that is too attention seeking. And from a man's perspective, that's not good. And that's where extrovert can fall flat. So it's a balancing effect on both sides. The introvert into being better.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. Because what I was going to say is about like, also the issue with text is like, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. It's like, your body language, are you confident, your eye contact, almost like fucking no one that I know keeps eye contact, which is really funny. Because when I was getting into like this whole game thing, I made it a thing to like keep eye contact with every single person I spoke to. And I would do that. And even like fucking random people would tell me, you look in my eyes a lot. It's weird. Not a lot of people do that. So yeah, it's interesting. It's good that we had this conversation. I think what you touched on really earlier with the priorities is just the main thing that I've sort of been experiencing. Because now, as we're talking, like you can see, there's like good energy, there's good vibes. We're going back and forth. We're on point, and I've come to realize like these were like a lot of things. These are things that I know. It's also, you can't be a fucking information bank but not take any action. Then there's no point. But these are things that I've actually used. I've actually went out into the field and tested, and things that I've also learned from the field. So yeah, I think my issue right now is just whenever I go out, just make sure I'm not in my head as much. Whatever that may be hard. But then, like you said too, don't care about what people think. And then something also is just, before when I started, I always used to go within the mindset of, yeah, sure, I might talk to a few girls, but I'm there to just have fun, right? I'm there to find the people that I find interesting and give them the chance to see what I'm about, instead of, oh, what do I find interesting about, or what does this girl find interesting about me, or what is she going to think of what I say, blah, 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 all of that. She's going to think I'm a weirdo. No, I'm just going there to have fun. And, if people don't like that, that's their loss.
And your fun is not necessarily someone else's fun. And it's not that your fun is right and theirs is not, or the opposite. It's just different. It's appreciating people's different proclivities. And that's fine. And let me tell you something, right? Like having your ideas, like compartmentalized as the way you have, I'm just giving a bit more clarification or a bit more certainty as to where you're heading. At your age is a fucking advantage. You don't want to be 30 or older and coming to those realizations. You want to be able to come, to put things in motion, to grow yourself as an individual, to grow your business and not feel any regrets. And what maybe you're fearing is a bit, am I making the right choice by having the right priorities? Am I not missing out on things, whether it is a long-term girlfriend, whether it is having the right fun in those parties, whether it is overly focusing on the business and putting a bit the social side aspect of things. Everything. When you make a choice, it's also about renouncing. A choice is a renouncement, whether you like it or not. A lot of times people, what they do is they don't want to make a choice, but they don't realize that not making a choice is a choice in itself. So for you as a guy, the 17-year-old man, keep on building that business. Enjoy, like when you had a girlfriend, right? Like you had that dinner on the weekend or whatever, just compartmentalize the fact that, you have time, they can switch off. And that's when you reward yourself with the fun, with the thing. Do not make it your leitmotiv, like your main thing. Just like, say, for example, you go to the gym and you for 5 days a week and you allow on the weekend a nice massage. Same thing with the fun. That's how you need to look at it. Because otherwise you're going to burn out if you never allow. So yeah.
Yeah. I see what you mean, brother. I got some great clarity. Thank you. One thing too that I actually don't want to ask about you is, I know a lot of guys on like our side of Twitter, maybe not exactly our side, but they like shit on this a lot. And I thought you were white initially too, but you're mixed race. So it would be great, like me. So it would be great to ask you about this. Like personally, I only really like white chicks, to be honest. And I don't know. It's funny. Literally every single girl I've been with or did something with in my life has been white. The only occasion when it wasn't, it was an Asian girl. So I'm curious what your thoughts are on that. Because like a few people personally have told me like, hey, she's white, why would she go for someone who's mixed or blah, blah, blah. But that's a thought that, yeah, sure, that might actually be a valid thing, but I've never ever let that get into my mind. Because I think if I did, then I would probably see that in every single interaction, and it would come out like in my energy or whatever it may be. And that would just fuck everything up. So that's like, I know a lot of people are like, oh, race mixing, blah, 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 etc. All of that. So I'm just kind of curious to hear your thoughts on that.
I mean, we're the product of swirlers, right? Technically, like for me, I know that I mostly vibe with white Caucasian women. And I'm talking vibe from a preference perspective, right? Look, the thing, most women vibe with white guys. They prefer white guys than most other races. And I don't see why we can't have the same preferences. In the sense that, don't get me wrong, sometimes I find a mixed race girl that is actually attractive, right? Not often, but sometimes, depend. Really, sometimes, like, and black women, less so. Asian women, sometimes, really depends, but it also what you'll notice over time, and that's something I've come to appreciate, is as you learn to develop your taste a bit further, and I'm talking beyond the look side of things, you'll be very much sensitive, especially because we're both energy-driven people in terms of the way we give to others. When you see someone that has the right energy, may not necessarily have as good a look, that energy makes up a massive factor. Say, for example, she may not necessarily be your type, but because she has the right energy, she's your type in a way. You start looking at other variables, but look, if you ask me the typical type of prototype, it's like the Margot Robbie in Wolf of Wall Street, the Charlize Theron back in the 2000s, not the movie Monster, right? I mean, even when I was in the States, it was like the fucking Olsen twins, not now, by the way. So, and you realize you see like, I really like that model. But then some guys, it's just like, I like my black woman. I've got a friend, he's really deep in Asian chicks. I've tried Asian chicks, but it's just, the vibe is just not the same in general. But for
Yeah,
example,
that's actually
yeah.
yeah, it's mainly the vibe, to be honest, now that I think about it. Yeah, yeah. No, 100%. I see what you mean. I see
Don't
what you
feel
mean.
bad about
Yeah,
your
yeah.
preferences. Don't feel bad about your preferences. They exist for a reason. But I'll just add in a certain caveat here. You find yourself in a situation that if she's your type, but you're not her type, you're gonna get fucked. But if you're her type and she's not your type, you have the leverage. And what happens is that ideally you want to be each other's type, but it's not like main type, right? But it may not necessarily. It's very rare that it happens. I find personally. I mean, personally, I find that it happens very rarely, and especially what happens also is when you're a mixed race guy, it's harder for you to fit into a box. I'll give you like you see me with no hair. Before I used to have hair, and I was whiter, right, with white men's hair. I didn't have the hair you have, right? I had literally had my dad's hair, so which was also quite of a different type of box. And people they make very quick judgment about you based upon the frontline display. So when they look at you, they'd be like, like I don't know where to put you. Technically, it's like, are you Arabic? Are you? I've had sometimes Indian. What are you? And it's harder. It's hard, and people rather basically put you in the box very quickly, so they make a decision very quickly. So it's much less likelier that you're gonna be someone's type, right? So you have to bear that in mind because, however, when I shaved my head and I was a bit more swole back then, right? Then I realized that women started to associate me more with black people, and then what happened? I had all the fat ass white chicks started to hit on me, and I was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa. The waistline's too much, babe. Like, hey, it's not because you consider me I'm a brother that I'm hitting that. But it goes to show, right, about the archetype they put you into based upon where they associate you, right? I thought you were light black, but you told me you were mixed race.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I see what you mean. Precisely.
So yeah, that's the thing with the type stuff. Make sure that you're her type so that you have the leverage. Or at the very least, you don't want to feel that she's settling for you in terms of, like one of the big red flags that I hear. It's like, you're not my usual type. Or I heard like, oh my God, you're one of the only bald guy that I find attractive. This type of stuff. It's kind of like, it's not, I don't really take it as a backhand compliment, but later on you'll notice that these girls, no matter how they want to frame it, you're not it for them. And when you're not it for them, you're going to always deal with more bullshit than the guy that was it for them. Women have a harder time
Yeah,
dealing
yeah.
with someone that is not their first choice than men have. Men are more likely to compromise because we know we never always have all the way the thing that we want. Them less so. Therefore, it's better to be her type than she's your type. Just if you want a relationship. If you just want to fuck, we know who cares, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I see what you mean. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. That definitely makes a lot of sense.
All
Yeah, but I'm
right.
trying to think if I have any more questions, but I think I've learned something really valuable here today, and that's definitely that a lot of this is already inward, and I just need to get out of my head more because yeah, that's one
You
thing.
have the right intuitions. You have the right intuitions. Trust yourself more because at your age, already being aware of all this, you're ahead of most of the people that I know back when I was at their age.
I appreciate that.
I'm French. I don't brown nose or suck up to people. I say it true. They called me rude, but hey.
You're French, yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's really about it. I think this is a great conversation. We did to go a couple minutes overboard, but it's all good. And definitely a valuable conversation.
Well, thank you for joining in the podcast. I mean, not was really well, just like I wouldn't call it even a podcast. Anyway, for guys that have enjoyed the show or would like to have a free conversation with me that don't mind me sharing it, whether it is on camera or whether it is off camera, feel free to DM me on X or even hit me on the email that you see on my YouTube channel. We can keep it as anonymous as as you want it to be. And Raphael, thank you again for joining in for this pilot episode. This is great, and also very much appreciate the fact that you put yourself out there. Not everyone can say or do the same.
Yeah, no problem, bro. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Well, it was a great talk. I really enjoyed, and it really, sometimes I lose hope about Gen Z, but I don't know if you're still Gen Z or Gen Alpha, but I'm just like, you know what? It's not so. It's not out of.
It's not so
there's
bad.
Still some, yeah, there's still some hope. Well, on this, guys, thank you very much for watching the show. Hope you find some insight and there was some entertainment, and I'll see you next time.